Welcome back to TalkTensors. Today, we're going to be taking a deep dive into dynamic pricing for on-demand DNN inference in the edge AI market, which really gets into the nitty-gritty of, well, how we can actually make money by offering AI services out on the edge of the network.
Yeah, it's a very timely topic for sure.
Right. Think about it. Everything from self-driving cars to smart appliances relies on these, split-second AI decisions. And that means all the processing needs to happen close to the action.
Right, and that's where edge computing comes in, these powerful servers located closer to the users and devices.
Exactly. And this paper lays out this fascinating vision for an edge AI market where companies can actually buy and sell these AI services as easily as we buy cloud storage today.
And, what's really intriguing is that they don't just stop at the technical how-to. They actually dive into the economics of it all, creating a system that balances supply and demand and even things like electricity prices.
So instead of just focusing on how to make the AI faster or more accurate, they're tackling the real-world business challenge of making edge AI profitable.
Precisely. And they've created this system called ARE. That's the auction-based edge inference pricing mechanism. It's essentially an option where users bid for access to AI services based on their needs, and providers can actually adjust their prices dynamically.
So if I'm a company that needs like super fast, highly accurate AI, I'm going to have to be prepared to pay a premium, especially during peak hours when demand is high.
It's kind of like search pricing, but for AI, which raises all sorts of interesting questions about who gets prioritized, how transparency is maintained, and whether this could create a digital divide where only the wealthy can afford the best AI.
That's a great point. It's almost like we're creating this like whole new financial market with AI processing power as the commodity.
And like any market, there's potential for both incredible innovation and some serious challenges.
Absolutely. So before we dive deeper into the specifics of area, I think it'd be helpful to take a step back and look at the historical context. Like what led us to this point where we're even talking about buying and selling AI services like this?
That's a great question. The evolution of cloud computing offers a really useful parallel here. Remember when cloud computing was all about just getting as much storage and processing power as possible?
It was a land grab. Everyone wanted to be the king of the cloud.
Exactly. But over time, the focus shifted towards specialized services tailored to specific needs. We moved from raw power to tailored solutions. And it seems like edge AI is on a similar trajectory.
So instead of just having these massive centralized AI models, we're now thinking about how to break those models down and distribute them efficiently at the edge, closer to where the action is.
And this paper takes that idea a step further by saying, okay, now that we can distribute AI, how do we actually build a market around it? How do we ensure fairness, transparency, and encourage healthy competition?
It's fascinating to see how the conversation has evolved from the purely technical to actually, encompass these broader economic and societal considerations.
And that's where things get really interesting. This paper isn't just about making AI faster or cheaper. It's about creating this whole new ecosystem where AI becomes this accessible utility for everyone.
Okay, so we've set the stage and talked about the big picture vision. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty details of how this area system actually works. One concept that really stood out to me was the use of multi-exit DNNs. Can you explain that a bit further?
Sure. So imagine a neural network with multiple off-ramps. Instead of running the entire model on the edge server, which can be slow and expensive, they propose splitting it into, parts.
So it's like breaking down a complex task into smaller, more manageable steps.
Exactly. Some steps can actually be done locally. On the user's device, think of your phone or a smart sensor, while the more demanding ones are offloaded to the edge server. It's all about finding the most efficient way to allocate resources.
That makes sense. And the area system then uses these multi-exit DNNs to dynamically adjust how much processing power each user gets based on their bids, right?
Precisely. It's all about balancing the needs of different users while ensuring that the system as a whole remains stable and profitable for the providers.
Okay, so we've got these multi-exit DNNs that break down the AI tasks, and we've got the area system acting as the auctioneer, managing bids, allocating resources, and setting prices.
Yeah.
But what are some of the specific benefits of this approach? What makes it stand out from other ways of managing edge AI resources?
Well, the authors highlight several key properties of area that make it really compelling. First, it ensures competitiveness. AI providers are motivated to offer the best possible service at the best possible price because they're competing with each other in this market.
It sounds like classic market forces at work, competition driving innovation and lower prices for the consumer.
That's the idea. Another crucial property is incentive compatibility. This means that users are encouraged to bid truthfully, representing their actual needs and budget. The system is designed to prevent anyone from trying to game it with sneaky tactics.
So no AI scalpers hoarding resources and jacking up prices.
Hopefully not. The system is designed to prevent that kind of manipulation and create a level playing field.
That makes a lot of sense. What else do they highlight?
The third property they emphasize is envy freeness. It means that everyone feels like they got a fair deal. No one feels like they were overcharged or got a worse deal than someone else with similar needs.
It's all about creating a system where everyone feels like they're treated equitably.
Exactly. It's about building trust and transparency into this emerging edge AI market.
Okay, so we've covered the key properties of area: competitiveness, incentive compatibility, and envy freeness. It sounds like a really well thought out system.
It certainly does, on paper.
But did they actually test this thing out? Did they get their hands dirty with some real world data?
They did. They ran extensive simulations using real-world data sets and scenarios. They even factored in things like the fluctuating price of electricity, which can have a huge impact on the cost of running those edge servers.
So they weren't just playing around with theoretical models. They actually tried to simulate how this would work in practice.
Exactly. And the results were impressive. Their ARIA system consistently outperformed other approaches in terms of revenue generation for the AI providers, user satisfaction, and efficient use of resources.
It sounds promising. But of course, it's still early days, right? This hasn't been implemented in a live edge AI market yet.
That's right. It's important to remember that this is still research, but it provides a solid framework and a compelling argument for how we can manage this emerging technology in a way that benefits both providers and users.
Okay, so we've established the historical context, we've broken down the mechanics of AI, and we've seen that it performs well in simulations. But let's shift gears now and talk about the real-world implications. Where do you see this technology having the biggest impact? What are some of the potential benefits and challenges?
Well, one area that immediately springs to mind is healthcare. Imagine a world where real-time AI diagnosis is available to everyone, regardless of location. This system could prioritize life-saving tasks like remote surgery, where latency is absolutely critical.
It's almost like creating an AI-powered triage system, ensuring that the most critical cases get immediate attention.
Exactly. And it could revolutionize how we deliver medical care, especially in areas with limited access to specialists.
That's a powerful example.
Right.
What about the impact on everyday consumers? Could this technology change how we use AI on our personal devices?
Absolutely. We might see surge pricing for AI features on our phones, just like ride-sharing apps. Imagine your voice assistant becoming more expensive during peak hours, or your smart home prioritizing certain tasks based on your budget and the current price of electricity.
It's a fascinating, albeit slightly unsettling thought. It raises all sorts of questions about access, affordability, and even the potential for AI-driven discrimination if these systems aren't designed carefully.
You're hitting on some really crucial points there. This technology has the potential to be incredibly beneficial, but it also carries risks that we need to be aware of and address proactively.
And that's a conversation we'll be having more and more as edge AI becomes increasingly integrated into our lives. But for now, let's shift gears to our novel notions segment, where we take the ideas from this paper and push them even further. Are you ready to get speculative?
Always. Remember, these are just thought experiments, not fully fleshed out proposals, but I think it's important to let our imaginations run wild and see where these ideas might lead.
Absolutely. So what kind of novel notion do you have for us today based on this paper's exploration of an edge AI market?
Well, what if we took this concept of an AI marketplace and combined it with the rise of decentralized technologies like blockchain? Imagine a future where anyone with spare computing power could become an AI provider.
So instead of relying on big tech companies to run these edge servers, we could have this distributed network of individuals contributing their resources.
Exactly. You'd rent out your gaming PCs processing power when you're not using it, contributing to this global AI network and earning some cryptocurrency in the process.
It's like the Airbnb of AI processing power. It could democratize access to these resources and create a more resilient, transparent system.
And it aligns beautifully with the paper's emphasis on creating a fair and competitive market. It could empower individuals and communities, especially in areas with limited infrastructure.
That's a really intriguing notion. I love how it builds on the paper's ideas and pushes them in a new direction.
And it just goes to show that there's so much potential for innovation in this space. The future of edge AI is just beginning to unfold, and it's exciting to think about the possibilities.
Well, I don't know about you, but my mind is officially blown. This deep dive has already taken us on quite a journey, from the technical details of area to the potential for decentralized AI marketplaces.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
Exactly. We still need to dig deeper into the paper's analysis and explore some potential challenges and ethical considerations. But for now, we'll leave you with that thought-provoking notion of decentralized AI marketplace. What do you think? Could this be the future of edge AI? Let us know in the comments.
So that was a great discussion about the broader implications of this edge AI market, but let's zoom back in on the paper itself and kind of unpack some of the technical details.
All right, so guide us through it. What were the specific challenges the authors were trying to tackle?
Well, they were essentially trying to solve the problem of, how to efficiently and fairly allocate resources in this edge AI market.
Okay, so we're talking about limited computing power, bandwidth constraints, the fluctuating cost of electricity, all those factors that can make running AI at the edge a tricky business, right?
Exactly. And on top of that, you have users with different needs and budgets all vying for access to those precious resources.
Okay, so how did the authors approach this challenge?
Well, they developed a system called ARIA, which stands for Auction-Based Edge Inference Pricing Mechanism. It's a mouthful, but essentially it's a sophisticated auction system that manages the allocation of resources and the pricing of AI services at the edge.
Okay, break that down for us. How does this auction actually work? Yeah.
All right, so think of it like this. Users submit bids to the system, specifying the AI task they need completed, their desired level of accuracy, and how quickly they need the results. The system then takes those bids and, using some clever algorithms, determines who gets access to the edge server's resources, how much they pay, and how the AI model is partitioned to meet their specific needs.
So it's like a matchmaking service for AI tasks and edge computing resources.
That's a great analogy. And just like a good matchmaker, ARIA takes into account a whole range of factors to ensure the best possible fit.
Okay, and one of those factors being that fluctuating price of electricity, which you touched on earlier. It's not something you typically think about when designing an AI system, but it's a crucial real-world constraint.
Absolutely. The authors recognize that the cost of running those edge servers can vary significantly throughout the day, depending on factors like energy demand and the availability of renewable energy sources.
Okay, so they built that into their system, allowing the price of AI services to fluctuate accordingly.
Exactly. It's a dynamic system that responds to real-world conditions.
That's really impressive. It shows they were thinking about the practicalities of deploying this in a real-world setting.
Right, and it highlights the importance of considering factors beyond just the technical aspects of AI. We need to be thinking about the economics, the environmental impact, and the social implications as well.
Absolutely. So we've got this auction system, we've got fluctuating electricity prices, and we've got these multi-exit DNNs that can split up AI tasks, efficiently. It's a complex system, but it seems like it has the potential to address a lot of the challenges of managing edge AI resources.
Yeah, that was their goal. And based on their simulations, it seems to be working quite effectively.
Speaking of simulations, what kind of testing did they do? Did they use like real world data and scenarios to validate their approach?
They did. They conducted a series of simulations using data sets from various domains, including image recognition, natural language processing, and even medical diagnostics.
So they really put their system through its paces, trying to replicate the diverse demands that a real-world edge AI market would face.
Exactly. And the results were encouraging. Their area system consistently outperformed other approaches in terms of efficiency, fairness, and profitability.
So it's not just a theoretical concept. They actually have data to back up their claims.
That's right. Now, it's important to remember that these are still simulations, and real-world deployments can often throw unexpected curveballs.
Right. There are always unforeseen challenges when you move from the lab to the real world.
Absolutely. But these simulations provide a strong indication that their approach is sound and has the potential to significantly improve the way we manage edge AI resources.
Okay, so we've covered the technical details of area, the simulations they ran, and the potential benefits of their approach. But before we move on to the novel notions segment, I want to circle back to one concept that we haven't fully explored yet, the idea of fairness in this edge AI market. What does that actually mean in this context, and how does area address it?
That's a really important question, and one that the authors tackle head on in their paper. When we talk about fairness in this context, we're talking about ensuring that everyone has equitable access to these AI resources, regardless of their budget or technical expertise.
Right. We don't want to create a system where only the wealthy or the tech savvy can benefit from the power of edge AI.
Exactly. And that's where area comes in. Remember those key properties we discussed earlier, competitiveness, incentive compatibility, and envy freeness. Those are all designed to promote fairness in this market.
So competitiveness ensures that providers are constantly striving to offer the best prices and services. Incentive compatibility prevents users from gaming the system. And envy freeness ensures that everyone feels like they're getting a fair deal.
Yeah, that's the gist of it. And those properties working together help to create a more level playing field where everyone has a chance to benefit from the power of edge AI.
It's a really thoughtful approach. It recognizes that technology is never neutral and that we need to be intentional about, designing systems that promote equity and access for all.
That's a crucial point. Technology can either amplify existing inequalities or help to bridge those gaps. And in the case of edge AI, we have an opportunity to create a system that empowers individuals and communities rather than further marginalizing them.
Absolutely. And that brings us to our novel notion segment, where we take the ideas from this paper and push them even further, exploring those what-if scenarios that spark our imaginations and challenge us to think differently.
Yeah, I love this part. This is where we get to be a bit more speculative and playful with these ideas.
Exactly. So building on this paper's exploration of an edge AI market and keeping in mind the importance of fairness and accessibility, what kind of novel notion do you have for us today?
Well, what if we took this concept of dynamic pricing and applied it to the development of AI models themselves?
What do you mean by that?
Well, right now, developing state-of-the-art AI models is incredibly expensive. It requires massive data sets, powerful computing infrastructure, and teams of highly skilled engineers.
It's a resource-intensive process that's often out of reach for, smaller organizations, startups, or researchers in developing countries.
Exactly. But what if we could create a marketplace where people could contribute their data, their computing resources, or their expertise to the development of these models, and then be rewarded based on the value they contribute?
So it's like crowdsourcing for AI development?
That's the idea. And by introducing dynamic pricing, we could incentivize participation and ensure that everyone is compensated fairly for their contribution.
So instead of just buying and selling AI services, we're now talking about, democratizing the entire process of AI development, making it more accessible and inclusive.
That's the goal. It would be a radical shift, but it aligns perfectly with the spirit of this paper and its emphasis on creating a fair and efficient market for AI.
It's a bold vision, but I love how it challenges the status quo and imagines a future where the power of AI is truly distributed.
It would be a game changer, especially for researchers and innovators in under-resourced communities.
It would level the playing field and potentially unlock a wave of creativity and innovation that we can't even imagine yet.
That's the beauty of these novel notions discussions. They allow us to step outside the confines of current limitations and envision what could be possible if we're willing to think differently.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what makes research so exciting. It's about pushing boundaries, asking what-if questions, and exploring uncharted territory. And who knows, maybe this seemingly outlandish notion of a crowdsourced, dynamically priced AI development marketplace could one day become a reality.
I wouldn't bet against it. The pace of innovation in this field is astonishing, and the boundaries between what's possible and what's impossible are constantly shifting.
Well, that's a thought-provoking note to end part 2 on. We've covered a lot of ground, from the technical intricacies of AI to the broader implications of an edge AI market, and we've even ventured into the realm of novel notions with that fascinating idea of crowdsourced AI development. But we're not done yet. In part 3, we'll be exploring some potential challenges and ethical considerations related to this technology. We'll be wrapping up with some final thoughts and insights. So stay tuned.
So we've spent the last 2 parts of this deep dive, exploring this fascinating world of edge AI, dynamic pricing, and this potential for a truly revolutionary marketplace for AI services. Yeah, it's been a whirlwind tour through cutting-edge research, real-world implications, and even some, speculative novel notions that could reshape the future of AI.
And while we've, touched on some potential benefits and challenges, I think it's important to dedicate this final part to, really digging into some of the bigger questions surrounding this technology.
Right. Questions about, ethics, accessibility, and the long-term impact of these systems on society as a whole.
Exactly. Because as exciting as these advancements are, we can't just blindly embrace them without considering the potential downsides.
That's where responsible innovation comes in. We need to be having these conversations now while the technology is still in its early stages to ensure that we're shaping it in a way that benefits everyone.
So let's start with one of the most pressing concerns, privacy. We're talking about a system where, our personal data is being processed at the edge of the network, potentially on, devices that we don't own or control.
Right. It's a valid concern. With AI algorithms running on our phones, in our homes, and even embedded in our cars, the potential for data breaches and misuse is significant.
So what are some of the safeguards we need to put in place to protect our privacy in this edge AI world?
Well, for starters, we need, robust data encryption protocols to ensure that our data is secure, both in transit and at rest. And we need to be very careful about who has access to that data and how it's being used.
It sounds like transparency is key here. Users need to know what data is being collected, how it's being processed, and for what purpose.
Absolutely. And they need to have control over their data, with the ability to opt out of certain types of data collection or processing if they choose.
So it's all about, empowering the individual and ensuring that they have, agency over their own information.
And it's about building trust. If people don't trust these systems to handle their data responsibly, they're not going to embrace them.
And another issue that we touched on earlier is the potential for bias in these AI systems. If the algorithms are trained on, biased data, they're going to produce biased results.
Right. And those biases can have real world consequences, especially when these systems are used for things like, loan approvals, job applications, or even criminal justice risk assessments.
So how do we mitigate this risk? How do we ensure that these edge AI systems are, fair and equitable for everyone?
Well, it starts with the data itself. We need to be very intentional about the data sets we use to train these models, ensuring that they're diverse and representative of the populations they'll be used on.
And we need to be, constantly auditing these systems, looking for signs of bias and taking steps to correct them.
It's an ongoing process, and it's not just about the data. It's also about the design of the algorithms themselves. We need to be developing techniques that are robust to bias and that promote fairness by design.
It's a complex challenge, but it's one that we absolutely need to address if we want to create a future where AI benefits everyone.
And it's not just about technical solutions either. We need to be having, open and honest conversations about these issues involving diverse perspectives and stakeholders in the development and deployment of these technology.
It's about creating this culture of responsible AI innovation where ethics and societal impact are considered every step of the way.
Exactly. And that's why platforms like TalkTensors are so important. By bringing these conversations to a wider audience, we can raise awareness, encourage critical thinking, and help shape the future of AI in a positive direction.
Well said. And I think this conversation highlights that while the future of edge AI is full of exciting possibilities, it's also a future that we need to approach with, a sense of responsibility and a commitment to ensuring that these technologies serve humanity as a whole.
It's a future that we're all shaping together through the choices we make, the conversations we have, and the actions we take.
So let's make those choices wisely. Let's have those conversations openly and honestly, and let's work together to create a future where AI empowers everyone.
That's a great call to action. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive.
Yeah, I agree. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the technical details of dynamic pricing to the ethical considerations of edge AI, and even some speculative novel notions that have pushed the boundaries of our imagination.
It's been a stimulating and thought-provoking discussion, and I hope our listeners have come away with a deeper understanding of this complex and rapidly evolving field.
I second that. And to our listeners, we encourage you to continue this conversation. Share your thoughts, your concerns, and your own novel notions in the comments below. Let's keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep working together to create a future where AI benefits all of humanity.
Until next time, keep those tensors talking.